Hey guys, welcome to the Q&A vid. I want to thank you all for submitting so many good questions. For those of you that remember, the first time I did this back in 2010, YouTube still had the video response option, which was kind of fun because I could get to see you guys and interact that way. And I kind of missed that, and so this time around what I think I'll do is I'll animate what I think you guys look like. So don't be offended if I don't get it quite right. So let's go ahead and get started.
Yo, how tall are you, Frank?
I like to say I'm 5'9", but I'm probably 5'8", but with shoes probably 5'9", but people say I look taller than I am.
What did you study in school?
Go
What do you
to
do
and
for
what's
a
your
job?
job? I went to the University of Southern California, Fight On Trojans, where I got my undergraduate and master's degree in engineering. Since graduating in 2008, I've been working at an engineering firm that builds airborne radars. It's pretty cool because I do get to use a lot of the math that I learned in school, especially the stuff that when I was learning it, I was thinking, why do I ever need to use this? And the product itself is pretty cool, but honestly, on a day-to-day basis, it's more like...
Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS report. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
What did you get on your SATs?
So way back when I took my SATs, the maximum score was only 1600. The writing test was separate, part of the 3 SAT 2s that you had to take. I got a 760 on math and like a 700 on verbal, so I tried to take it again to get an 800 on math, but instead I got 760, 760. SAT 2s I did math, 2C, writing, and physics, and I got 800, 800, and 790. I did decently well enough that after that I got hired as an SAT teacher, where every year I would have students ask me to flex.
Jesus Christ! How can you do so many cleans without bruising?
I'm actually permanently bruised from cleans. My right clavicle is actually higher than the left one. It's probably just a callus, but it's so much higher on that side that I tend to hit it a lot, especially when I start getting tired.
Other than a Supra, what would you rather have?
Actually, 4 months ago, I tried to buy an NSX and the seller backed out on me. He asked me for a deposit, which I sent him, and he even made me walk around videos of the car. But before I could fly up and get it, since he was in NorCal, he actually showed it to somebody else and accepted the cash offer, and went ahead and sent me my non-refundable deposit back. I'm still pretty bummed out about that one. Where's the Supra?
Still in the garage. What made you start working out? Were you satisfied?
I attribute my desire to work out really to my dad. I remember as a little kid, he'd always wake up at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and he'd always run 5 or 6 miles every single day. I remember some mornings I would wake up with him and go with him on these runs, and afterwards we'd do like push-ups and sit-ups together. And I specifically remember the first time somebody made a comment about my body was at 6th grade camp when we were changing in the guys' room. Somebody looked at my abs and said, "Hey, you have a six-pack," and I was like, what are you talking about? I then picked up lifting during football practice in high school, and ever since then I've just been doing it on my own. So in the beginning I don't think I was really concerned about the results too much, since there wasn't social media or anything like that for me to compare myself to, and so it was really just something that I did for fun and something that I really enjoyed doing. I'm probably around 10% and 5 or 6 times a week usually. Are you religious? This is actually a pretty important question to me, and I've wanted to do a full-length video on this topic for some time now. So I'll be sure to do that sometime in the future, but just as a quick summary for now, I am a Christian, which for me is not so much a religion meaning a set of rules and things that you should do or shouldn't do in order to get something, but instead it's my personal relationship with the living person of Jesus Christ, who I believe is alive and who I've decided to make Lord of my life. And I hope that through my videos you guys get a glimpse of my heart for this, as I believe that I've been created for a purpose and that I'm doing this for a reason.
Because it's all about love, baby.
What are your max lifts?
My max lifts are actually not all that great. I only recently hit a 315 clean and jerk.
Let's go! Yeah!
And I started doing snatches recently, of which I hit 235, but as far as bench and normal back squat and deadlifts, I haven't maxed those out in a while because of injuries. A little over a year ago, I managed to hit 365 on back squat for 5x5, and shortly after that, my hips started hurting, and they still do. And so because of that, I've had to lay off on the heavy squats multiple times a week.
Because I'm aging.
So really the last numbers I had for those were 305 bench, 395 squat, and 465 deadlift. What were your experiences in college, and how do you succeed in school? These are good questions that I probably want to make a whole video about, but just as a short summary, proper time management is probably the most important thing to be able to succeed in school. But for me, the biggest thing that I wish I had done differently in school was not being more involved in the clubs and on-campus activities that they had. Things like Formula SAE, where you could build a race car, or go on campus and join a club and build a rocket. These are all good ways to expand your experience and get to know people, and sadly I didn't do that. I mean, I got good grades and stuff, but I wasn't involved. And also, don't get too caught up in partying. I mean, parties will always be there, and it's not a bad thing to go. But remember, you're a student first, and trust me, if you fail, you'll regret it. I had a friend that had stayed for 6 years, 2 additional years of school, because he failed early on. And that's a lot of time, energy, and money wasted. What supplements do you take? I get this question from time to time, and the answer has been the same. I still don't take anything. No protein, no creatine, anything like that. I did try and take protein once about 10 years ago, and just gave me gas, so I stopped.
It's all about the...
Do you plan on getting married? I do, but probably not for another 1,000 days divided by 3 plus 10 times 2 or something like that. But I do want to tell you guys that my brother is getting married. He recently proposed to his girlfriend in a very special way. I got to be involved by being one of the sign holders when he proposed, and he printed up these 3D printed signs in his 3D printer, and he wired them up to light up, and he proposed in this beautiful neighborhood with Christmas lights. So if you guys want to see that footage, which includes the footage from my GoPro on my head, go ahead and click the link above or below. How do you balance life? Keeping motivation, staying productive, and finding discipline is another one of these questions that many people ask that I think belongs in its own video. But just as a quick summary, balance is key, but I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the best at maintaining that balance. As I shared with you guys before, I have plenty of my down days and days that I feel unmotivated also. And there are many times when I end up focusing too much on one thing, like what I'm eating or even YouTube, and it ends up crowding other equally important things in my life. So really for me, prioritizing and planning what I'm going to be using my time for is very important. And then secondly, following through with that plan by doing things like staying off of my phone or going to bed earlier to make it happen. And lastly, understanding that saying no to things is okay, not beating yourself up over things that you couldn't get to, and moving forward even if you had a down day. So I just want to thank you guys for watching this video. There are a lot more questions that I didn't get a chance to answer, and so if I make a second part, I'll be sure to answer those. And if you guys have any more questions, continue leaving them in the comments, and you know, I read all the comments, I read all the questions. I want to thank you guys all for again interacting with me, and as always, I really appreciate each and every single one of you.